Well, hi everybody, I'm back with Jeff Cranford, and we are talking about nostalgia. And last time you set off a little bit of nostalgia in me because you reminded me of a story. I actually wrote about this story in a devotional long ago, but I remember being on the first tee of a golf course where I often play, and I don't know what it is about this particular golf course, but it seems like we always get stuck right behind some people who really don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And this day was just like that. And these guys walk up to the tee, and you can tell from the warm-up swings, oh boy. And sure enough, one dribbles the ball over here, one slices it out of bounds, one pops it up. All four of them just horrible shots. And then the one guy turns to the other and goes, well, it can only get better from here. And that's kind of a common thing that we say, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, where is the proof for that? Because we could be here all day behind these guys who have no hope of anything getting better from here. Yeah. And I think sometimes when we talk about the upward call, when we talk about eternal things, when we talk about who God is, it's easy for people, skeptics, and they may be very honest in their skepticism, and sometimes people who are actually believers, though, but sometimes like all that out there talk is too mystical for me. How you say it's going to be like this, how do you really know? And I think it's very important when we're talking about really a vision here, that there be evidence of that vision. And yet here's our Bible saying, wait, faith is the evidence of things
hope for
and not seen.
The conviction of things that we cannot see.
So but there is a conviction. Where does that conviction come from? Where do I base that reach?
Well, in the early phases, I think it's true. Of the early phases of our faith walk, it's an internal knowing. Now, skeptics can say an internal knowing. I can give you people that are completely deluded that have an internal knowing. But that's the beginning of it. In other words, we sense there's something spiritually radically different that's happened on the inside of us. Our shame is gone. We feel differently about the future. Now that doesn't in and of itself, but that's the beginning stages. Then we have to begin to apply what God puts into our life through the Word, through community, through interaction, and we begin to test God's Word in some ways to see if in fact it's true. As that happens, it synergistically begins to grow. Our faith begins to grow. Then God begins to speak different things to us about our future, possibly, or we get a vision or some sense of why we're on the planet. Things begin to make sense. Now I understand why I spent 5 years over here doing that, or I understand why I'm in and around the country club, or I understand why I was in business in that particular way. It's given me this. Then they grow, then that vision may get more specific. We begin to, it almost feels like we can taste it because we can see it coming. And then the more we practice it, God shows up. We practice it. We step out in faith. God practices it. We step out in faith. God comes in and the pieces fit, and we get partnered in ministry, whatever that looked like, with either a links group or a few other guys at my club or a few other gals at my club, who all of a sudden we come together and we realize there's calling on our life. I mean, it is a steadily growing upward calling. And again, nostalgia serves at any point to come in, stymie that growth, and pull us into the past. So that upward calling is progressive, and it's different at different stages in our development. So there are guys in Links Fellowships now that I know that are probably not ready for full vision yet, that are still being discipled, still learning the Word, still learning to hear His voice, not unlike the story of Samuel, who had to learn to hear His voice. And so there are stages, but after a period of time, as we grow, that vision becomes very clear, and we know exactly why we're here. Don't let anything stop that process of discipleship and movement towards an upward calling.
I think, too, that there's one place where we can let ourselves go back, because it's very important to this as well, and that is we go back to remembering that Christ was here.
Sure.
And
we want to talk about that for sure.
Yeah, I think so, because when I think, okay, the upward call, and you think, okay, here were these disciples that walked with Jesus on earth. They were here, and then they watched Him ascend. Where did their eyes go? They went up. They had in mind the fact that Christ is in heaven, and that's where we're going. but he was here first. And we saw all that he did, and there was an anchoring. There's like this dual thing going on here of, my God is up there, but my God has been here, and he knows exactly what it's like.
Absolutely.
And that helps us kind of balance the vision with the reality.
No question about it.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk to you next time.